talk about fighting and wrestling. Um, and I'm gonna kind of speak from the heart on this because I feel like there's times where life kind of hits us and we don't know how to handle some of the things that happen to us. When I was a kid, I went to summer camp and there was this kid that had an issue with me. I don't even know why he had an issue with me, but he had an issue with me. After camp, we went outside and he came and shoved me. And apparently he and several other kids had issues with me and was trying to fight me. The kid was smaller than me. He was not the tallest person. And I was kind of I'm short now in height. But I think that when I was younger, I was taller than most of the people I went to school with. But I turned around and I just pushed him back. And he said, I want to fight you. He said, I've been wanting to fight you for a couple weeks now, but this was a perfect opportunity. And I was like, why? Like, I had no idea why he wanted to fight me. And he was like, I don't know. I just don't like you. Now, mind you, we are kids, okay? So I pushed him again, and he just kind of walked off. I'm just playing, you know. But I use that story to kind of talk about, like, you can be in a fight or you can be fighting with someone and really not know it. You could be fighting with things and not know it. And I think the key to life is, how do you handle the fights that you're in or the struggles that you're in, right? Because life is going to come, it's going to expose different things. You're going to find so many unexpected things that happen. In construction, we call it unforeseen conditions. Things that you didn't know that underneath the concrete there was a whole tub, and you have crazy incidents like that where it's just like, how do I deal with this? There's many of us that have been in those how do I deal with these moments, and it feels like a fight to get out of, or it feels like a fight to get through. And especially when you're in business or when you're trying to raise a family or when you're trying to be married, so many things can hit you at one time. And as I just spoke about all those different things, you can be dealing with all issues in all of those areas at the same time. You can be dealing with issues with your spouse, issues with your kids, issues in business, issues with you personally, right? You can be thinking about, all right, where am I at with my wife? Am I giving her enough attention? Are we having enough sex? Am I spending enough time with her? Right? Then you're looking at your kids. Am I spending enough time with them? Do I need to take them somewhere? What do they need? New gym shoes? You know, I got to sign them up for basketball. I got to sign them up for gymnastics. Then you're looking at, all right, the business. I got to finish this on this deadline. This person's upset. This person's upset. We need to make more money. How are we going to make payroll? How are we going to do this? And all of that coming at you at once, and the effects of that coming at you at once sometimes can put you in a situation where you're like, how do I get out of this? Or how does it become more stable or more calm? You know, sometimes all of those things, and there could be worse things, but all those things can, those pressures, those are like wrestlings. It's you wrestling with trying to overcome something, with you trying to do better for your family, do better for your kids, do better for yourself, right? Another thing is, am I eating enough? Do I need to hit the gym more? Whatever those things may be, a lot of times, if you look at them from a negative standpoint, you want to give up. You want to say, screw this. And I'm speaking from experience. You can say, screw this. I'm good. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm good. And sometimes what you end up doing is bowing out of a lesson that you need to learn, a lesson that, or experience that needs to happen. Wisdom comes from struggle. Wisdom comes from a fight, so it's not about how you overcome something. It's about what you learn from that, because on another level in your life, you're going to experience a very similar situation. So it's like, how do you overcome that? And sometimes the most painful lessons are the most powerful lessons. The ones that hurt the most are the ones that you can become an expert in because it hurts you the most. The whole point of this podcast is to fight. Don't give up. Don't. And the reality is that your life may be in one reality, and you could be at the breaking point or at the brink of something amazing happening for you. So don't give up. Fight with everything you got. If something's slipping, fight to maintain it. Fight to pay attention. And it's stretching you. Fight to figure out what your wife needs. Fight to figure out what your kids need. Fight to figure out what the business needs. And spending time in those areas is going to take a lot out of you, but it's growing you. I heard someone say this, and it's really helping me, especially right now, in business and in life in general. They say that you don't grow anything. This person, Bishop Tudor Bismarck, says you don't grow anything. You're not growing a business. You're not growing a church. You're not growing anything. It is growing you. It is growing you. Your business is growing. Your marriage is growing you. You're not growing it. You're not growing your kids. Your kids are growing you. Because you look at what are you taking away from the things that you're experiencing? What are you taking away from the things that you are learning? What are you taking away from the disappointments and the hardships? What are you taking away from it? And if there's something that you can take away from it, it's not a loss, but you have to hang in there. You have to learn I'm learning how to pivot. Somebody's always going to try to work harder than you or work as hard as you in whatever area, right? Somebody's always going to try to do things harder or try to beat you, especially in business. How do you pivot to make yourself relevant? How do you pivot to make yourself stand out? How do you pivot to be able to focus on things that keeps you in the game? That's a form of fighting. That's a form of saying, I'm giving this everything I got. If one well runs dry, I'm gonna go try another one. If my opponent knows my left hook, I'm gonna hit him with an uppercut. If you keep fighting, you will find the benefits of what you're fighting for, because it's not just fighting for you, right? There's other people attached to whatever you're fighting for, right? If you own a business, there's families attached to your business, from the vendors to your direct employees to, your landlords, whoever. There's people attached to that. When you are fighting for your marriage, there's a wife attached to that. There's a husband attached to that. You have to fight for that. Now, yes, there's times where things cannot be worked out, and there's times where you have to give up on things, but you have to fight. Fighting is not giving up. That's really what it is. It's never giving up. It's like somebody has to push you off the stage. You should get to the point where somebody has to literally push you off the stage. You're terrible singing, you're hoarse and all that, but it's not over, as they say, until the fat lady sings. But until somebody pushes you away, until you're in jail, or until you're dead, or until you are physically incapable of doing something, do not give up, because there are so many other people that benefit from your drive, your effort, the thing that you're building, the thing that you're trying to do. Your wife benefits from you being a husband. Your children benefit from you being a parent. Your husband benefits from you being their wife. All of those things, your job benefits from you being there. So even if it's a hard thing that you don't understand, don't give up. The most painful lessons are the most powerful ones, because they make you a better person. They make you realize, I'm never doing that again. I'm never going that route again. I'm never it teaches you more than you could ever imagine. So the thing for our family is, if you pay now, you can play later. But if you play now, you have to pay later. Meaning, go through the hard things now. Pay for it now. Pay for it now. It's easier, like even you don't go into a store and just get something without knowing how much it costs, whether it's a car, whether it's anything. It's better to know how much it costs first and pay for it and enjoy it because you paid for it, versus you going to try to enjoy whatever it is and say, I'm going to pay later. If you don't have what you need when it's time to pay, it's going to still cost you. So it's better to pay for things in the beginning, pay for the struggle, pay for the lessons, learn the lessons now, learn the lessons that you can now. Like this whole Mackey Method podcast is about the things that I've learned as I've experienced life, even at a young age, but as I've experienced life, there's so many things I've learned. And I'm like, God, why am I going through this? Like, does God not love me? Like, yo, you got to chill, God. Like, but I'm paying. As I sit here and record this, I realize I'm paying for something that I'm going to enjoy later. Sometimes I have to pinch myself and be like, bro, you're 30. And I feel like I'm 55 sometimes, because it just feels like the situations you're in is hard, but there's a fight in me. If you know that God gave you this business, or if you know you believe in this business, if you believe in this marriage, if you stood in front of that altar where all them people spent all that money, fight for it. You was in that delivery room pushing that baby out. If you went to that interview and did a grand slam on it, fight for it. Don't give up anything easy. But every fight comes with a price. But there's always a benefit. I listen to older people, and some of the wisest people. It's funny. My production manager, before we started this, we were talking about payroll, and he was talking about someone who has payroll, and Vic has payroll, and so do I. So we were kind of talking about it, and he was talking about the person that he talks to who says, "Hey, I have to make this happen, even if it's not there." But sometimes hearing that perspective from someone else that may be in the game longer than you helps you put your things in perspective. And I say that because I had a situation where I realized I had to pay something, and my rent was for our new office. My rent was pretty high. It's in the tens of thousands, and I was talking to one of my mentors who owns a very, very successful contracting firm out of Chicago. And I said, what am I going to do? Like, what am I going to do? He's like, Marcus, just very calmly. He's like, Marcus, I just wrote a check for $5 million last week for my employees' benefits. It's like, it makes you realize that if that guy can do that, it's not even the fact that the money or the size, it does put things in perspective, but it helps you realize, all right, here's a 68-year-old man who's been in business for 45 years. He's been through some things. He's paid for it in the beginning, and he's playing now. So having those people makes you realize, like, it helps when you pay for it in the beginning. It really does help. It helps because it keeps you calm about things that normal other people would freak out about. And it gives you, again, a level of wisdom that you would not obtain in a book. Experience teaches you that. Lessons, pain, deep pain teaches you that. Staying up at 3 a.m. teaches you that. Not, let me go to chapter 2. Maybe I'll find out where 1 is. No, it's the deep pain of business. It's the deep pain of trying to communicate with your wife. It's the deep pain of trying to understand your kids. It's a fight. But again, it's experience that gains you wisdom. So my brothers and sisters, it is best to pay now so you can play later and keep on fighting. I'll talk to y'all soon.